Hi, everyone. Welcome to We Didn't Turn Out Okay. Today's guest is someone that many of us grew up alongside, first on the hills and then the city. But since then, Whitney Port has evolved far beyond reality TV as a fashion designer, entrepreneur, podcast host herself, and a mom. I'm so happy you're here. You can tell by
Aw.
my smile, but can you introduce yourself as a professional and a mom?
Yeah, of course. I don't know, I've had such an interesting career. It's hard to like define myself in certain terms, but I have one 7-year-old, soon to be 8-year-old son named Sunny. And I have just always been a lover of fashion and creating beautiful things and started like, organically, my career on TV wasn't trying to get into TV, but, like, got into it
Yeah.
via fashion and have just been able to build on that and connect with my audience in different ways because of that. So yeah, I don't know. It's so
Yeah,
hard.
I know. You also do so many things. So I tried to give you some titles, but really, I think what you own and do so well is just authenticity and sharing who you are. And one
Mhm.
of the things that I connected with you most about was how you brought such visibility to your fertility journey, something that so many of us sit silently with, myself included.
Mhm.
Initially,
Mhm.
I was very
Mhm.
silent
Mhm.
about. So, as much as I followed along since the hills, that's really what I felt made me feel even more connected to you.
Connected. Yeah. I think like I feel like that's the most people now
Yeah,
at this point. Like I feel grateful, not grateful that this happened obviously, but like grateful that I've been able to build this community because of this and that it's not just like Whitney from the hills
right.
anymore and it's like Whitney as a human being and that makes me feel like so much more seen. So I love hearing that so much and like I mean, the TV show was wonderful and all, but once the TV show was over and social media became such a thing, like I needed to figure out what my voice on there was going to be, how comfortable I felt sharing everything. And I Love My Baby Butt was like the first series that my husband and I produced on our own when I was like 6 weeks pregnant, feeling so shitty, like just a monster feeling like I didn't wanna be pregnant and talking vulnerably about stuff that I hadn't really heard being talked about
Yeah,
before, and that was, like, I think what has sparked my interest in, like, being vulnerable and just, like, in feeling comfortable being vulnerable, knowing that, like, so many people are going through the same things and going through it silently. It just, like, breaks my heart. So, yeah, I'm like Whitney from the hills, but I feel like I feel so proud of the work that Timmy and I have done in, like, sharing our story, and we're still obviously on our journey, and, like, I've kept a lot still to myself. Like, you have to have boundaries,
yes.
especially in this process that where I've been on, like, a 6-year fertility journey that's now turned into a surrogacy journey. But I
Yeah.
really do feel like as much as I can share, I want to because the difference it makes in individuals' lives, like, I don't know. I never remember hearing any like
Right.
celebrities or role models or whoever ever talking about fertility or getting pregnant. It was just like all of a sudden you saw people getting pregnant. Like, do you ever remember
No, it's
like
so
it wasn't like
true.
Britney Spears and like the icons of our day were having conversations about fertility or like what we were
It's
I'm not like
so
Britney Spears is
true.
an icon, but you know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like
No. Yeah.
there was no conversation, so I didn't realize at the time what I was doing, like, Timmy is more a producer, and that's how we met, like, he was a producer on The City, and so he was like when I was sharing with him all these feelings that I had about my pregnancy, all these really, really more bitter than sweet feelings, he was like, you have to share this. Like, there has to be other people that feel this way. And I was like, I do not want to share this. Like, this feels like I'm a terrible person. He was like, no, there's something there. Like, I know you're not a terrible person. So there's something there. And so, yeah, that's been the evolution. And like on the side, I always want to be like creating beautiful things. And I love fashion and I love beauty and I love all that. But, so much of my meaningful work is around this conversation.
Because I, like you, have found such strength in being vulnerable and, of course, have connected with so many people, and it's been so rewarding. But I wanted to ask, did you think of yourself as more of this like stoic person? Like, not just once your celebrity, experience took off and you were more like out in the open for that, but just even like backtracking more than that, were you always more of like this kind of guarded person, or were you open in that way?
That's a good question.
Like,
I
what
feel
felt
like
scary about like when Timmy was encouraging you? Besides that, of course, you probably felt guilty for not just thinking like, oh, this is a beautiful journey, but was it new to you to share openly like that?
it was very new to me. Like, honestly, I am a very open person in my circle, with my family and with my closest friends. But I think with others, I'm like a little bit more walls up, like my guard is up. I have a hard time being vulnerable. And I think that has to do with my past and has to do with like, filming a lot
Right.
and like my words being manipulated and things not being taken the way that I really meant it and feeling misunderstood. And that was part of the reason, honestly, why I never wanted my family to be on the TV show or any of my best friends, because I was like, these relationships will be ruined. Like, and
Right.
when people continue to ask me, will you do reality TV again? Like, I'm like, well, maybe in a formatted thing where I'm like hosting something, but I'll never do something where, my family is involved. So, yeah, I think that over the years I became a little bit more guarded and also like really just not confident in my feelings. Like I just felt ashamed of myself. I didn't feel like, oh, this is okay, Whitney, you feel this and it doesn't make you a bad person. Like what I've learned now, obviously through therapy and talking about it so openly, but like at the time, I was like, you're a bad person, and everyone else is going to think you're a bad person too. Like, they're going to see that you're a bad person. And I was just so afraid. But it was really Timmy who was like, I trust him. I know that he sees things clearly. I know that he can gauge. He's
Yeah,
like, he wouldn't let me put something out if he
totally.
thought I was gonna be like so unlikable and no one could relate. Um, so yeah, so when he was like, no, 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 then I once I got the feedback, like I started trusting myself more and I started wanting to share more.
Yeah,
And I it was very few comments
of
of
course.
judgment and whatnot. And then the thing is like it starts to be the whole thing with motherhood. I find is now I think that it can be it's so supportive. Like everyone is so understanding and supportive, and it's not about everyone else. It's about you being accepting of yourself and what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like I look back, especially on my breastfeeding journey, and I'm like, it wasn't about what anybody else thought. Like, it was innately me shaming myself
Mm-hmm.
for not wanting to do something. And that is what we need to work on. It's like, yes, we need to tune out the voices and like utilize the voices that are positive, like yours, like voices that are encouraging and not and positive and like you're learning from, but also just know that when it comes down to it, like we need to just be giving ourselves grace and trusting our own intuition with in terms of knowing what's right for yourself.
Absolutely. I mean, there's so much there. I think, what I'm hearing from you is totally like why we all connect on the human level when we're sharing openly and vulnerably, because I think everyone who's listening can relate to when we have this shame about our feelings.
Yeah.
And it's two things. It's like we're having a hard time with ourselves with those feelings, but also something that's both helped and also made me really grow as a person for the better is thinking about me as an outside person. Like, would I be judging someone else if they were having a hard time with their breastfeeding or chose not to breastfeed? I could think that's what you're saying was your experience. And I wouldn't. However, if I were doing that, right? Like, so then it sort of, but there are times when I'm like, would I be judging someone for saying X, Y, and Z? And I'm like, maybe I would. Not, let me be clear about breastfeeding, but maybe something else that
Mhm.
I'm feeling ashamed about. And it makes me reflect about giving others more grace in whatever area that is. So,
Completely.
and I think,
Completely.
yeah.
Mhm.
And so I
Yeah,
want,
it's interesting. I saw that happen the other day. Like I was at somebody's house and I saw a parent like snap at their child and I was like, "Ooh, like I don't
right,
like that." Like it made me feel uncomfortable. And then this morning I snapped at Sunny and
yes,
was like, "Well, if this person was in the car with me, like
right.
I would have seen the same thing, and, like, we're all doing it, so it's being aware of those things, just being mindful of those judgments and, like, where they're coming from, and noticing if they're healthy or not, or if they're serving you, or if they're like, it's just not it's we just need to be more aware of the opinions that we're having, because also they're creating blocks in ourselves, and I feel like they're creating more self-awareness and more judgment about what we're doing, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, right. And I
Yeah.
think that's such a perfect example. I think we all have heard others lose it on their kids and have cast judgment, probably because not only is it uncomfortable, but we, feel in those moments we can't see us being that parent until we are that parent at times, right? And we're all just seeing that sort of in like a vacuum. We aren't seeing the full picture. But those
Mhm.
are times that help me also in the moments of losing it. And I wanted to ask you when you said you felt shame for some of these feelings, I'm sure it related to, pregnancy and all that it's supposed to be, and you're bringing life into
Mhm.
this world. And so there's that layer. But is there a layer of, I mean, this might be a little bit deep, thinking back on feeling shame about, not positive feelings like growing up, or like were you an open crier? And not that you had to be, but do you remember feeling like not okay about sharing negative feelings?
Yes, it's so interesting you say that. I think okay. I had a really great childhood. I'm the middle though of 5 children, and I think that my parents, I think that they did a beautiful job of communication and we were always talking and I felt very close to them. They knew everything. I was super close to them. But there was a level of I think just like too many kids and not always having my parents not always having the space to,
Right.
like, hear me or listen to me, and then also, I feel like there were so there was, like, so many opinions, so many people that, like, mine kind of also just got lost. I don't know, I guess it's sort of the same thing,
Right.
um, but I I think my feelings about the pregnancy were like a little complicated. I think that one, I really, really, really didn't like how my body was feeling. Like I was so sick, and the lack of control over how my body was feeling was just making me depressed. Like I just remember with work having a really exciting launch coming out and not being able to like stick to any of my commitments and just feeling also just really
Yeah.
ashamed of myself, like down on myself, like I had worked so hard and now I wasn't able to do this. And then I think I felt resentful towards the pregnancy as well. Like it was stopping me from doing all these things that I really loved and had planned to do. So I think there was that, there was the physical thing, and then also I think just the being scared of the responsibility. Like, I just feel like I was still a kid, and I sometimes still feel that way. I feel like I got out of college. Well, I started filming the show in college. I was 20 years old when I started filming the show, and then I graduated college, being on this show, and then moving to New York and filming this other show, and like never really having a normal job or like a normal like introduction into the workforce. And then the show was over, and I had a couple I it was like I was working on my clothing line for a couple years, and then my dad passed away, and then I got pregnant, and it just felt like I was still a kid, and I was grieving things and growing from things and recovering from things. And
Yeah,
so I think it was just like
a
a lot at
lot.
once.
I was just going to say, like, for people who may not know, your first pregnancy was a surprise, was easy.
Easy. So my first pregnancy, like Timmy and I had decided that summer after we got married in November of 2015. And then that summer of 2016, we were like, let's start trying. And I went off my birth control, and within 2 months I got pregnant. And like every test was perfect. Everything was perfect. Like I felt like shit, but it was
Right.
perfect.
But that
And
also
then
like plays into like, oh, that happened pretty quickly. Like, I don't know how ready I am. But anyway, go on.
Well, exactly. Like you don't know. You never know.
Right.
Like you don't know how. So then after when Sunny was like a year and a half is when I had my first miscarriage.
And that was, you were trying.
Yeah, so that we were like not
Right.
trying, you know? It
Right.
was yeah. So it was just
Yeah.
casual fun. And then after that there were 3 more miscarriages after that, and then I went to go see a fertility doctor.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm sure, I mean, I don't want to speak for you, but just hearing that also, and how you're still talking about the feelings you had with your first pregnancy, does it bring up guilt still? Like, oh, I felt negatively when I was pregnant with this first, and here I am. I'm not saying at all that you should, but I just still hear it. And I wonder if it's
Yes. No, for sure, for sure. The thing is that I don't feel guilt. I'm not like mad at myself
good.
for how I felt. I do I wish that I could have enjoyed the process a little bit more, and like enjoyed the beginning stages of having a baby a little bit more, not knowing that this was maybe not going to happen again. But I I more feel guilty for the fact that I felt like after my first miscarriage, I felt sort of relieved. And I feel guilty about that feeling because,
Because you
like,
weren't
that was a really
ready.
complicated feeling. Hmm.
Sorry. Because you
No.
weren't ready. Like, why did you feel relieved?
Yeah, I feel like I felt relieved because I was really scared again that the pregnancy was going to take over my life for the year again. And like then the breastfeeding and it just felt like a trauma was about to be
Yeah.
inflicted on me again. Like that's how much I really had such a hard time with the pregnancy. And it could have been hormone related too,
Of
and
course.
I think like I was grieving something different. I was very, very close with my dad, and I didn't picture obviously not having him. And having a boy was tough. So I think it was just not what I had envisioned the life to be. So I think I was just like in a little bit of a depression, with the hormones and all that. So I miscarried, and then I was like, oh, thank God, like I don't have to go through that again. And then I remembered that being something that I was really afraid to say out loud.
Of course.
Uh and still have guilt about that, honestly, that feeling, which there's nothing I can do about. Like I had it, and
Of
like I
course.
have to be honest about that. But Like, obviously, I I can wish certain things, but I'm really like I try not to be too much of someone that just, like, is looks in the past and
Right, and
and
dwelling, yeah.
tries. Yeah, exactly,
Right,
exactly. Like, I have to do a little bit of introspection
of
and reflection,
course.
obviously, in order to grow, but I think with this whole process, so much of me at this point is like, "This is what happened, and now this is what I have to do to be proactive for myself and to live in this moment and to be grateful for what I have and know that, like, anything extra is a blessing."
Yes. I mean, this might sound, I've been using this term way too much, woo woo to you, but I truly believe that everything happens the way it should be. And that is like so hard when you're in the throes of really tough things, death and hardship around bringing new life. And of course, I haven't been in all of those situations how you have, but I have a feeling that when the time comes, it'll make sense. And so I absolutely believe in like not dwelling and things like that and
Mhm.
honoring what you were supposed to feel at those times. I believe that. Like there might be
Yeah,
something around that relief that like if one day it's another baby that was the baby you should have and if one day it's not and it's sunny, that's all that, you know what I mean? Just like
completely.
honoring that. Um I was going to ask you about Sunny throughout all of this and Timmy. I mean, it sounds like, let's start with Timmy. He's been beyond supportive, like such a cheerleader and in
Yeah.
everything. Can you share how this journey has connected you guys both with one another, but as parents?
Yeah, of course. I mean, Timmy has been like a true partner in this whole situation. There's obviously been times where it will like hit him harder maybe than even hitting me, and like his sadness will make me so much more sad. Like that's something that's really hard, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um but he it's so important for men to understand in this whole thing that they can be such like an active participant. Like there's so much organization and so much logistical shit that needs to be done that they can help with, that he has learned and become such a pro at. But even obviously more than that, just creating like a safe space for all my feelings, no matter how ugly they can be. And at times, like, I would get worried that he would, like, later in life, like, be resentful of me because this was something that I couldn't do, or, get worried about this drawing like a wedge between us because, him wanting more than one kid was something that but we both always wanted something more. So I felt like, a little bit of insecurity, but I think for me, just being like open about that and communicating that, and I think being able to share your deepest, darkest secrets with your partner is so important. And like your worst fears in these really, really vulnerable moments is important to get off your chest. And like
Yes.
he's been able to take that. And it's not perfect, like I said. Like it's not, there's stress with it. Like it's like, then sometimes your business partners when it comes to it, and he's like, what's the deal with the surrogacy agency? Like, why is she not writing back yet? And you're just like, well, you can write back too. Like, this
Right.
isn't all on me. Like,
Of course.
but that's just part of life. Like,
Yeah.
this is no matter what. So he and I both feel the same way now, where we we're like so grateful to have one. Like I said, like I feel so lucky with this whole process. We've seen how difficult it is to have one. Like we're so grateful to have one that anything extra is a blessing. And I truly believe that he's there too. And Sunny It's funny. Sonny like always wanted a sibling, and we have communicated to him. I mean, we've been working on the surrogacy thing for like 2 years now, and even at that point when he was like 5 years old, we could start talking to him about what it meant, you know. And so we were just very literal with him, and he understood it to the best of his ability, and was like excited for it. And then now as he's gotten older, he's like, all my friends who have siblings, they just fight. Like, I don't even know if I want a sibling anymore.
Oh my God, it's so funny. Yeah, like
Yeah.
when they reach these older ages, right? Like I'm sure on up till 5 and a little
They're
around
like, they
that.
just want a buddy, and now
Right. And
he's
then
like,
it's like
"Wait a second, like, I'll get." And we just got a puppy too 3 months ago, and I think he's starting to understand, sharing time and
yes.
attention and all that, and he's like, "Wait a second here."
It's been like such a,
But
a thing that I've seen also with my girls is like they used to ask for like a third, and then recently, I mean, I'm about to be 42, so I sort of not that that matters, but I'm like, am
yeah,
I going to
yeah,
do this
yeah.
or not? But so when I've asked them, they're like, no, like Nellie will ask for mommy, and I need mommy, and Daddy asks for mommy. You can't have someone else needing mommy. And then it was a dog, and I brought them to Petco to learn about a dog. I'm like, see, it's something else that mommy's going to have to, in the morning, I might have to walk the dog and
Uh-huh.
not get you ready. And they're like, okay, we don't want
Completely.
that.
Yeah, I know. Like, I should have explained that to Sunny in advance of the dog for sure. But like,
So,
yeah, it's funny. Granted, we're still on the journey. Sunny's
yes,
not making the decisions here.
of course.
And a sibling will be beautiful for him if that happens. But yeah, he's like a chill little boy, and we don't like keep things from him. We don't keep him in the dark, and we try to talk to him in a way that we think that he'll understand. And I think that that just makes him like calm about the whole situation.
Yeah. I mean, I love that. I think some people don't know that it's okay to be honest with your child age
Yeah,
appropriately, and that there's something that feels so safe about that for our kids that once you see it, you realize, and it empowers you to continue to be honest. I wonder
completely.
how was it that you felt like you kind of didn't have a choice? Like you guys, this at certain points was taking over and you had to be honest with him, or did you always know you have the inclination, like I should be honest with him? Like, how did you make that decision?
I think like the sibling conversation would come up enough, and then we started to be like, okay, we should talk about this. And then it just became such a big part of our lives at the time. And then we were doing egg retrievals and doctor's appointments, and he was starting to become aware of mommy going to the
Yeah.
doctor and all that stuff. And so we were like, I don't want him to worry about anything unnecessary. So we might
Right.
as just tell him what's actually going on.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Do you feel that there was openness in your family? Like if there was something serious, it was talked to, or like a death, or do you ever feel like you were left in the dark about things, or even something like periods? Like,
Yeah, it's funny you say that. It's so funny you say that. So like in terms of girl stuff, like there was openness galore. It was like you know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff. We were very, very open.
you
And
had
with my
brothers
dad,
and
we were
sisters.
super close. What?
You had brothers and sisters?
I had an older brother. My brother was the oldest, and then I had 3 sisters. I had
Got
3
it.
sisters. Sorry, this is so annoying.
It's okay.
And my dad like became one of us.
Right.
Like we were super close with him. However, my parents were pretty strict. Like there was no drinking, no anything, no boyfriends till high school. Um, so that in and of itself, like kind of the fear of them created this idea that there was like judgment and harsh opinions and a lack of being able to be open with
Right.
them,
Like open mindset. Yeah.
yeah, even though I felt like on the surface, maybe it felt like a very open family, and we talked about seemed like everything. I felt like they created such strict boundaries that like we couldn't talk about everything, you know? Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
totally. It's not even like they were like hush hush about things like, oh, we can't tell them. It was more like you guys probably felt like you couldn't because of these boundaries. And
Completely.
it sounds like you know that they were loving boundaries,
Yeah.
maybe. But
And when we each had issues, like, I specifically remember when my older sister started getting in trouble, like, they would bring her into their bedroom and close the door and have, like, 3-hour-long conversations with her, and I just and they never fought in front of us either. They were, like, very, very, um I don't know, I never saw that. It was, like, always behind closed
how
doors.
did you feel about it? Did it feel scary or did it feel like appropriate? I'm curious.
Um,
Like maybe
so
it,
I
yeah.
think now confrontation scares me because I think it's a personal thing, like, I think I did something wrong or I like confrontation is really, really hard for me, but at the time,
Yeah, it's so interesting.
I don't know, at the time, it just made me more scared to, like, do anything wrong.
Right? Like it's something there's something that feels healthier about it when you think of like I grew up with witnessing a lot of conflict. Like my sister getting yelled at for all the she was like the bad one
Yeah,
and my
yeah.
parents fighting and that felt like uneasy for me. And so you sharing what you experienced almost felt like, oh, I would have been shielded from that. But then I also agree, it's like, what went on in there? Like, obviously, you didn't think she was being
Yeah.
harmed, but
Like,
it's
I
sort of
think you need to
like what I
I
well, I don't want the 3 hour conversation to happen with me. Like, yeah,
No, I you need some conflict
right.
resolution
Like
and,
in
like,
between.
there was never a like, I never knew what the resolution was, and it just felt like they were always mad at my older sister,
Right.
and,
Yeah.
um, yeah,
It's interesting.
so I think I mean, I definitely think it's better for your parents to not fight in front of you
Right.
as much
Of
as possible.
course.
Like, Timmy has a different experience where he remembers hearing his parents
Yeah.
fight all the time, and, like, it would scare him to death, like, he just lived in fear of his parents splitting up all the time.
Same.
Um, but I think it's important it's, like, keep the serious stuff like, to
Yeah.
yourselves, but, like, the little things where you can, show how productive communication can
Yes.
happen is important.
And you said it so perfectly when you said conflict resolution. Like when I
Yes.
catch myself in mat fighting, and not at all volatile, like, the bickering or something,
Yeah,
like I just make sure that they see the conflict resolution and not inauthentically. I mean, Matt doesn't let us like have a bickering thing for more than 30 seconds. God bless him. Like I'm so grateful for that even in the moment if I'm just so annoyed by it. But like I love that they could see that evolution. Yeah, oh, he will not let me
yeah,
even walk past with the chip on
he
my
can't
shoulder.
deal.
But there's something about seeing that like full circle resolution that is so it feels safe and that conflict's
Yeah.
okay and it's the reality, right? There's an in
Yeah,
between
or if,
between
like
yeah.
yeah, if my mom came out after those conversations with Ashley and was like, "I know that was probably intense for you guys, like, we needed to chat with some stuff. Obviously, I love you guys no matter what, but we wanted to just chat, and Ashley deserves the privacy." And, like,
Absolutely.
if she said that to me, then anytime they went in there, I would have been like, "Chill,"
Of
and I wouldn't have been so scared and closed off, but, like, we never got that at the end.
Oh my God,
It was
that's
like
so
then it was
true.
like, is mom in a good mood
Right.
afterwards, you know?
Yes. The
Sorry.
guessing about the mood is such a thing that I feel like a lot of us grew up with.
I
And
know, and Sonny will see it in me sometimes, like, he'll read my face and be like, are you happy or upset about something? Like, he senses it, and he's like, "Can you get back to that other face?" Like, you know?
oh my God, they're so
Um,
refreshing, right?
yeah,
Like,
but it's hard because part of me feels like there was a little bit of fear that was healthy, and I don't know, you tell me. There was a little bit of fear that was healthy that kept me safe and kept me knowing, like, what my worth was, you know? But there was, and so I need Sunny to have that. Like I need Sunny to have some boundaries with that and know that like there's certain things that are just not okay, you know? But I also want him to fly, you know, like we all do.
Yes,
So it's finding that particular structure or balance, whatever it is, for your own child that works. And that's the thing. It's like each child is different. So you can't tell
totally.
another mother how to do it.
I was just going to say when you were like, you tell me that I absolutely was going to say, like, you are the expert in Sunny and any child that you have. But I think you're so right that, and I was going to even ask you if you look back on any of the boundaries and you're like, I'm glad that they did that. I think there is part of you that feels that way without me even asking, because you said there were things that they did to know my worth. That's like such a powerful statement that you just made, that you
Mhm,
believe that some of those boundaries, like no boyfriend, were
mhm.
so you know your worth. Am I making that
Yeah, like it
assumption?
makes yeah, no, it makes me like my parents always, I think with 4 daughters, they like whatever they did, they like the 4 of us are really, really confident women. Like we have normal insecurities like everybody else, but like I look at my other sister who's has this big job and um my I just see these women, like there was something that they did, and maybe the boundaries and that was protecting us from, but there was something that they did that created that I um it was like I don't know, I want to recreate that in Sunny without him being afraid of me at all.
Yes. I mean,
Yeah.
I hope it's okay that I like struck that chord, because I mean, as someone who grew up with 3 girls and I related to it, when you
Yeah.
said there was boundaries around that. I'm the middle of 3 girls, and my dad, yeah, we were allowed to have boyfriends, but we couldn't be in our rooms with doors
Yeah, no.
closed. And
Mm-mm.
like there was no like sleepovers or like that type of thing. Like he set boundaries that at the time, especially with my older sister paving the way, and she was such a rebel. It was like he's the worst, like he's too strict. That I'm so grateful for that. And I also believe it's helped us to know our worth. Like it could make me emotional too. Like,
Yeah.
and that me having daughters and you having a son, I'm sure it strikes a chord for different reasons, that you want Sonny to know his worth and also to respect women or whoever his partners are, one
Yeah.
day. And then also for my girls to know their worth. And I think that there's something about looking back on boundaries that were set for us and knowing why they were there and like appreciating them
Yeah.
now, that helps motivate us to sometimes not even be the bad guy, but to feel empowered by setting boundaries. That gives me such strength. I'm a people pleaser. And so when I have girls who I feel I'm disappointing with boundaries, even though I know they're right, it's hard for me. And what
I
motivates me is
know.
like knowing that some of those boundaries have led me to like the
To
best
where
parts
you are
about
today.
me. Yeah.
Completely. Completely. And when I think about it, I'm like, at the core, why were they not letting us have boyfriends in high school? Or like for you, let's say like it's like when you really think about it,
Right.
they were protecting us because weren't maybe in a place to like we're still kids, you
Yeah.
know? And
It
so
wasn't to
but
be
we don't
mean.
think we are. It's not to be mean.
Right.
You think you're capable of making the right decision at 15 years old, but it's like you may not be. So your parents still have to have those guardrails against you. And I think like keeping me just keeping my priorities straight and just it just really and also watching how my dad treated my mom was huge for me as well in terms of picking a partner who respected and spoke to me, like communicated with me the way that I needed to and made me laugh. Like having that as an example is
Huge.
uh, like for me pivotal in looking for like finding a man that resembles that.
Oh my God. That is so powerful. Can you share a little bit about like what you remember about that? without getting into too much detail about it, didn't have that example.
Mhm. Mhm.
And it's really beautiful that you did. Like, what are some things that you remember about how he treated her? And it's also emotional because you shared that he's not here, but he's
Yeah,
here.
no,
But
no, no,
in
it's totally fine. It's totally fine. He just, like he I know that I've said this a lot, but it was again something that I needed to find in Timmy, but, like, he also just made me feel really safe with my feelings, like, more so than my mom. Like, I felt like I was really afraid of my mom, but I could kinda come to my dad if I, like, really needed to, get somewhere with him, and so he was softer, and I think he was always, I think, just highlighting how creative and talented we were. And I think that that in and of itself just allowed us to believe in ourselves more,
mm-hmm.
and telling us that we were capable of doing anything that we set our minds to. And like he had this business in he he would like buy licenses like strawberry shortcake or Care Bears and then put them on loungewear and sell them to like Hot Topic
Oh
or
my God,
Walmart. So he
that's
had this
amazing.
like fashion business. And I would go work for him in the summers and learn from him and watch him just be such an amazing leader and always doing it with such grace and kindness. And everyone loved him and he was so silly. And like, I don't know, I just all of those things in those micro moments, they make such an
Yeah.
impression on you.
Yeah. And helped you find a partner that kind of checked those boxes for you
Yeah,
in
I
terms
just
of
knew
like,
that that existed. I was like,
right.
"Oh, this exists? Like, I'm not gonna stop until I find
Right.
this."
That's literally like, you're right. It's like as simple as that, like knowing that it exists. And it's something that should, I think, empower all of us in relationships, in front of our children. Like we're setting such an example for what they should seek one day or what they know exists or is capable and what is the example we want to set. And it's just, yeah, there's so much power there. And when you were saying like, that, when you got emotional and it's something you want Sonny to know, I think that's it, right? Like just
Yeah,
authentically showing him, who you guys are together and as humans. And like, yeah, it is just so powerful. And if like there's a boundary that you feel strongly about setting for him, you'll know why you're setting it. And one day he will.
completely.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
I have to remember that
completely.
too.
I know, right? Well, that's the thing. It just comes back to us believing in ourselves and, like, you know, like, making a decision to do something and not pretending we're not gonna question ourselves, you know what I mean? Like, our kids are gonna force us to question if what we're doing
Right.
is right, but just being mindful of the questioning and not letting, like, our emotions get the best of us.
Yes. Yes. We've talked a little bit about like emotions and how you've shared openly with, your worlds, both small and large.
Mhm.
How do you encourage or respond to Sonny's emotions in a way that gives him permission? Both, and I'll just call it as it is, as much as we're eliminating the gender stereotypes, but as a boy, and in today's world, I hope that means a lot more of like emotional acceptance of all the emotions, which I already know
Completely,
that you believe as well. Yeah. How do you
completely.
create a safe place for him to show all of that?
That's a
I know
good
that's like a
question.
big question, but just when
No, no, it's like it's so hard. It's so, so hard.
in the moment, right?
Um, because you always it's because even this morning, like he was telling me his stomach was hurting and he didn't want to go to camp. And we're like, and he did this yesterday too, and we let him not go to camp. And then this morning it's like, is his stomach not is his stomach actually hurting? Are these just nerves? Or do I do I like force him to go? I feel like every parent is probably dealing with this camp situation right now too. And Or is he gonna be is his stomach really hurting and I'm now not listening to his
Right.
feelings and he's gonna feel unsafe, like, or gonna feel like I don't trust him, essentially. And I was like, "Oh, geez." So I it's different for every
Totally.
situation, but I think for me, most of the times, we always say, "Sonny, like, as long as you're telling us the truth about how you feel, like, we're never gonna be upset about you, and that's it." And I think in those moments when he admits something to me that he's done that he knows isn't right, those are the moments to, like, over the top accept, what they did and not make them feel guilty about it, because you're obviously, and I'm sure you teach this, like, just creating a space for them to feel comfortable admitting their mistakes to you. So it's those things. It's like him telling me the other day that how many ice creams he actually had, like,
Yeah.
and me being like, okay, like, no big deal. Cause there was this free soft serve at this place this trip we went on with a bunch of moms. And all the moms were asking, like, how many ice creams did each of you have? And they were all saying, Sonny had the most, and he was like, 6. And I was like, and like,
You're
and I
like, I'm
don't
so
really
glad you
even
told
care
me.
that much, but yeah, but just basically like yeah, it's like, I'm so happy you told me. Let's check in with our belly later and like see how we feel and connect to if this makes you feel good.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you told me.
Yes. It
So
really comes down to that. I love that. Like you're giving me like more simple things to hold on to, right? It's like
yeah.
you can create this safe space emotionally and in all areas by just saying, as long as you tell me the truth. You
Yeah,
can
and
tell.
also not asking too many questions.
Yes.
I'm realizing that he gets so annoyed by the questions, and even if he starts a conversation and wants to tell me something, if I have a follow-up question, that it's, like, annoying, so I have to just, like, repeat back what he said or be like, "Okay, cool," and then let him, if he wants to talk about it more, I know he's gonna find a time to talk about it more with
Yes.
me, but, like, I even need to stop myself because last week he told me that this girl he likes has a crush on someone else, and I think he just wanted to tell me that, and I said to him, like, "Does that make you feel weird, like a certain kinda way?" And he was like, "I don't know, mom. I don't know." And I was like, "Okay." He's like, "I don't really want to talk about it." And I was like, "Okay." And so it's more just letting them, like, giving them the space to feel their feelings, just like we need the space and know that they're going to come to us when they need to talk about something.
That is like the hardest thing, right? And I have a daughter who's 7, so I totally am like
You get it. You're
picturing
like,
it too.
"How was your day?" And you hear things that happen and you're like, "Well, how did she not tell me this?"
Of
And
course, yeah.
yeah.
Tess has even preemptively said, like, I wrote this thing and I want to read it out loud, but I don't want you to hear. And I'm like, okay, I think I share this. I was like, okay, why do you think you don't want me to hear? She's like, because you're gonna ask me questions. And like she's blatantly told me, like, I
Uh-huh.
sometimes am not coming to you, or like I'm not, I don't want to come to you with this because I don't want the response and the spiel. And I
Exactly.
like need to know that. That's and
Completely.
we feel that way sometimes when we're like going to our spouse or our mom or anything. Like sometimes you're like, I just want to
I
tell
don't
you.
need the spiel. Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, and, like, I feel like we try to turn so many things into, like, teaching moments but it's like when they're trying to share something with us, like, don't turn it into a teaching
Right.
moment, like, use it as an opportunity to be, for me, like, as I I don't know, right now, like, as l like, least annoying as possible,
Right. Oh my God, I
so
hear
that
that.
he can feel safe opening up to me and wants to open up to me in the future.
Yeah, I think especially with what you were saying when he said about the girl liking someone else and you being like, how did you feel about that? Was not only probably like, I don't even want to think about what I feel about it because I don't like the feeling, but also
Ex
our acceptance of like, that's so hard to hear him say, right? Like, so it also shows you like it was hard for you to just sit with that, right? You
Completely.
wanted to
Like,
like
I
work
can't.
through it with him to like give him like, you didn't like that he had that feeling. You probably remember that feeling as a kid. Don't we all?
Yes, and I probably just should have said like, "Oh, like
Right.
that must
But that is
that
really hard.
probably doesn't feel good," or I don't know. Like it's like you never know sometimes once they're with kids. And now he's getting older and he's having emotions and like asserting his independence and his own identity and stuff like that. So yeah,
Yeah.
but I do think less is more. Like,
Yes.
and with that, with
Yeah.
the communication with them.
And
Yeah.
when we forget, they remind us of that. I wanted to just, and I, of course, want to be like mindful of just how open and much you're sharing with us, but
No, you're good. You're
you're
good.
on this journey still, but you're 7 years into motherhood. Is there anything that like you would tell, not even relating to mother, anything at all that you would want to tell yourself pre-mom?
The thing is is like everyone tells you in motherhood that everything is a phase, right? Like this is a phase and then it will be done. And then this is a phase and then it will be done. And so I felt like I lived by that, but I was always just waiting for the phase to be done. And I wasn't enjoying what the current phase was. And I felt like I went the first 4 years of Sunny's life just like waiting for the next phase. And especially with being then in a fertility journey and then surrogacy journey and that feeling stagnant and feeling like I want to be in the next phase of that. Like I just felt like I was have been living in the future for a chunk of this motherhood journey and I want to take that back and I'm working on taking that back and I want to live like in the moment and mother by my gut and like obviously be my biggest advocate and do the research, like do what I need to do to like make this happen, but also not like don't miss out on what's happening right in front of my eyes. Like just I just can't. So that's
It's so powerful. I like wanna end there so bad, but I also need to ask how you got to this place because it is
yeah.
so where I'm at in so many other areas and like that I've seen magic come from that and I wanted to hear that you were there so bad.
Mhm.
And like you said, no one's just there. Like you're getting
No,
there.
I mean, I still listen, I'm still every single day, like the thought still
Of
comes up of like,
course.
when is this happening? But I'm able to calm myself down in those moments and be like, this is the journey. This is where you're at. There's nothing you can do right now. You've done everything that you can do? So like those moments will come, but it's been a series of things. It's been growing up, just like becoming older and wiser and more life experiences. It's like actually it's talking about this with a therapist every other week and someone that focuses on like women's health and fertility in general. Um it's being on antidepressants now for 5 years, 4 years, I don't even know. But since this has all been going on, it's like seeing a nutritionist to help me um, give my body what it needs to be able to like function and make good, strong decisions during the day. It's like so many different things. It's
Yeah.
nonstop. And I sound like such a privileged brat, but like
No.
like it's been a journey and I've had to do those things or else I would be miserable.
I will say that although you've had the privilege of these resources to help you get to this place, like what you're saying is that, you know, what you need to do has maybe got you to the place of this, but what you need to do is like let go. And that's doesn't cost anything, but it's hard to
Well,
get
that's
there.
also true. Yes.
It's what you said, give or take, like, because being present means you're letting go of any like desire for something else than the present. That's
Mhm.
really what it is. And that's
Mhm.
really hard to let go of when you're so desiring another baby
I
or this or that or the job or whatever it may be. So it's not
mhm.
easy, but don't give yourself grace that maybe you got here with some resources, but it's all inside you.
Completely, completely. And I also like it helps that my life does feel so full right now. Like I I am doing so many fun creative things that are filling up my soul, and Sunny is still a little kid and taking up so much time, and Timmy like broke his hip yesterday
Oh my
and
God.
like we have a new puppy. So like I'm
You
still
have
the
a
thought
lot.
of a second still like it's kind of scary at the same time, you know?
Right.
Like
Yes.
it's still
Yes.
gonna be a lot, but I just feel really, I don't know, I feel really settled in where I'm at right now, in my relationship with my husband, in with Sunny, like so proud of where he's at, that like I don't want to be greedy,
Yeah. And
you
it
know?
sounds like a really full, good place to be in. You said that
Yeah.
you have exciting projects, and I saw recently that you shared one in particular with like this really cool image on a building with angels and just it.
Oh my God, yeah. So, well, a couple things, like, so yeah, so Timmy and I, we launched a subscription series. Basically, everybody, we had this big community on our YouTube where we were rewatching old shows like The City, The Hills, Laguna Beach, and we were reacting to them during COVID when we didn't know what else to do. And it like became a thing. And so we started this new subscription series where people can subscribe and we do reaction videos
Oh
every
my God,
week,
it's
and then
so
there's different
fun.
tiers and stuff, so that was fun. And then I was able to collaborate on a sunglasses line, which I'll have to get you a pair, which was so
Oh, I'm
fun, a
so
collaboration with
excited.
Love Lou. So yeah, and I need to get you the gummies too. I feel like you would love the high confectionery gummies. Do you
Oh my.
partake in hemp or THC?
Yes. And yes, that
Okay,
is like so
gummies.
up my
They're low
alley.
dose. Product creation and creating things from like the ground up and how they look and the packaging and the vibe, like that just makes me excited. So,
You do it
yeah.
so well, really
Thank you
well.
so much. Thank you.
And it makes sense that it's something that makes you really happy because when
Yeah,
you're happy doing something, you do it well. Whitney, thank you
completely.
so much for being on and
Oh
sharing
my
so
God,
openly. I
thank
could talk to you for hours. It's like been so nice.